If Nintendo made a special edition Switch with either decal or molded designs, what theme would you like to see them make? If we're getting a special edition of anything right now, it's kind of an obvious answer, but I would love to get an actual Zelda special edition Switch. It's kind of crazy we haven't gotten one yet. There's been a few opportunities. Obviously with Breath of the Wild that was launched, and if they do a special edition like that, something I really hope is that they pay attention not just to the Switch itself and the Joy-Cons, that kind of stuff, but the dock. The dock to me is such a missed opportunity to do really cool, interesting things. Because so far it's just been, here's the standard dock design with like a little doodle on it, when they could just make completely different looking things that also serve as docks. A really cool example of this actually is a design I saw from, I think it was called Micromania. And it was a Link's Awakening design they made for a dock where it was actually the mountain from Link's Awakening, which is the little slot to put the dock in, and it looked awesome. And there was a lot of examples of this too on stuff like Etsy. We've covered things like this before where there was this one design that was a Super Mario Odyssey one, and it was actually the ship, and you would dock the Switch in that. There are so many cool examples and ideas out there that people are obviously excited about that I'm just really surprised Nintendo, even for like a super special edition that costs more, hasn't ventured into doing yet, because it just seems like an obvious idea to me. With Microsoft and Sony releasing next-gen consoles, is the Nintendo Switch gonna fail next year with Nintendo not releasing a next-gen system? I don't think so. I guess it depends a little bit on what your concept of failure is. Are we gonna see maybe some third-party drop-off? Sure. I don't think we're gonna have multi-platform games come across all three systems after the next generation bump, but as far as the system selling well, I think it's gonna be fine. A lot of people have this revisionist history in their minds where they're like, oh, the Wii did terrible, no one liked the Wii, but the Wii sold amazingly. Sure, it wasn't the most powerful system of its generation, and sure, some of its games were not great, but as far as how the system itself did and the big first-party titles that were gone on it did, they sold really well. The Wii U was another matter, but that wasn't really because of it falling behind graphics-wise, that was a lot of bad mismarketing. So I think the Switch is going to be fine. The fact that it's a handheld, I think, gives it an extra layer of support, and Nintendo's first-party game has been fantastic on it. And really, while I don't think we're going to see third-party games that come out across all three systems after next gen, I think we are going to see still some third-party games made specifically for the Switch in mind, because it's just been that popular of a system. So yeah, I think it's going to maybe fall behind a tiny bit, but honestly, especially with the momentum it's built up right now, the Switch is going to be fine. Which game that came out in the past 10 years do you think has been most influential on the current state of gaming? That's actually a pretty tough question. There's a couple games that I think are really important that came out over the past couple years, and especially when it comes to the current state of gaming. Okay, I'm gonna talk about two games actually real quick, because I think one is more influential right now, but there's another one that really shaped the last 10 years. When it comes to the last 10 years, I really think Skyrim is one of the biggest things. Not that like open world games didn't exist before Skyrim, I mean Bethesda made plenty of open world games before that, but that was really the title that not only made Bethesda a lot more popular, I mean they had games that sold well before, but Skyrim was a whole nother level. I mean, just evidenced by the fact that it's been released about 70,000 times now for every electronic device out there, but it also is the game that I think really popularized the idea of open world gaming. I mean, you know, however many years after Skyrim came out, how many games featured an open world element or just made sure to say that word somewhere in there? This game is free roam, this game is open world, this game is Skyrim with guns, whatever. It just became a big thing for a lot of people. And I think we're getting to the point where it's starting to tone down a little bit. I think people started getting a little bit too much influx of open world games, especially during the year that we got Zelda and Horizon Zero Dawn at the same time. It was just a lot all at once. The other game that I think was super influential, especially right now, Dark Souls. Dark Souls has inspired this whole new genre of third-person action game, and it's hitting the point now where it's not just FromSoft's own games that are using that formula, but we're seeing it spread across other games too. I mean, Jedi Fallen Order is a Dark Souls game. It's not called that, and it's not necessarily as difficult, but it uses all the main tropes from it. So those two games, I think, really kind of helped shape RPGs and action games in general, and really just the overall tone of that games are starting to take now. From what we know about PS5 and Xbox Series X launch lineup, what titles are you going to play first for next gen? I mean, we really only know 3 games right now. I mean, there's a few kind of assumed sequels that we're going for, but at the moment, we really just know Halo Infinite for Xbox Series X, the next Senua game, which I don't know if it's been confirmed as a complete exclusive for Xbox. I mean, it's at least a timed one. And then for PlayStation 5, they announced Godfall at the Game Awards. And that's really it, I think. Out of those ones, I would say the one I'm most excited about is probably Senua's... I forget what they called it. It's not Senua's Sacrifice anymore. They changed the name, but it's the sequel to Senua's Sacrifice. Of those three, that's the one I'm most interested in checking out. As far as games that are more than likely going to get announced within the next, couple years for the next-gen systems, another God of War. I really, really liked the God of War reboot on PS4, and it definitely sets itself up to have a sequel, so I want to see what that is, and at this rate, that's definitely going to be a PS5 title. It's not like they're going to surprise announce it for PS4 anytime soon, so yeah, that's the next-gen thing I think I would look forward to right now. Obviously, everyone is on the hype train for Sony and Microsoft's upcoming additions to their lines, but that leaves me wondering, what do you hope for from Nintendo? Will they stick with the hybrid idea, and if so, how would you have them improve on the innovation? So obviously, the Switch is recent enough that we're probably not going to see a whole new next-gen system from Nintendo that super fast. It's possible, but I doubt it. The main thing a lot of people are theorizing is that next year, or maybe early 2021, we will see at least a kind of 0.5 revision in the form of a Switch Pro. Now, as for what form that Switch Pro is going to take, I honestly don't know. I think there's an argument to be made that it is just going to be a beefier, more powerful, regular Switch that maybe has a bigger screen, better graphics, so on and so forth. But I also think there's a ever so slight chance that another Switch system could be kind of an analog to the Switch Lite, where the Switch Lite was the trimmed down, lighter, portable-only version of the Switch, and I think there's a possibility that a Switch Pro could exist that is just a at-home, plugged in your TV, better, more powerful graphics version of the Switch. And so that idea is then you own a regular Switch, or you own a Switch Lite and a Switch Pro, whichever one is more dedicated to the focus that you care about. Do you think Halo Master Chief Collection may make an appearance on Google Stadia? And who is your favorite Disney princess? Okay, wow, 2 hard-hitting questions there. For question 1, no. I don't think we're going to see Master Chief Collection make its way to Stadia. At least I'm not... It's weird, because Microsoft has been very much on this whole sort of friendly playing field with everyone. They're trying to kind of ally with everyone a bit, but at the same time, they are also kind of the main competitor to Stadia right now with what they've been pushing for Project xCloud. So I think that's going to be one of the instances where we don't see a Microsoft product try and make its way to another thing. Sure, it's on PC now, but that's still playing into something that is in Microsoft's overall kind of wheelhouse. Whereas, Stadia, that's a direct competitor to xCloud. So I don't think so. I think Microsoft's going to try and instead just use that as one of the main reasons that you want to stick with xCloud instead of using a competing service. Because when it comes to the idea of cloud-focused gaming, those are the main two. As for favorite princess, Jeez, I was not prepared for that kind of question. Mulan? Sure? Wait, no. Alien Queen. It technically counts now. They bought Fox. She's a queen, princess, whatever. It counts. I'm going with that. What do you think the PS5 will bring to the table? Okay, this is a good question, because we've kind of learned a little bit about what Microsoft is pushing with Xbox Series X, but PlayStation, they've talked things like kind of general basic specs, but we don't know any specific sales pitches yet about what's going to be different or unique about it. And honestly, as things stand right now, I don't think there's going to be much. I think PlayStation is going to announce some cool features and some new ways that it's going to differentiate itself from past PlayStation consoles. I think they're still going to push things like being able to do remote play. But at the end of the day, I really think PlayStation's big MO is doing the basic traditional gaming setup as best as possible. I don't think they're looking to be super innovative. PlayStation has tried that in the past, but normally it's based on what other people have done, like, say, when they did motion controls, and that didn't work out super well. They've already said they're giving up on the handheld market. I really think the main focus of PS5 is going to be just the best, most powerful, straightforward gaming experience you can get. And with their first-party titles, that's what I think they're hoping is going to be able to sell people on it, instead of trying to focus on anything like, oh, we're going to be this multimedia service or offer all this other stuff. It's just going to be a straight-up gaming platform. I could be wrong, though, and it'd be really interesting if I am and see what they have to offer. What Xbox or PlayStation exclusive would you want to see ported to the Switch? Funny enough, the longest time my answer to that question was Cuphead or Ori from Microsoft, because I just thought those games would very much fit a handheld portable, and we got them on the Switch, so hey, great job there. Anything else? It's tough because, look, yeah, obviously there's crazy dreams of like, oh, it'd be great if I could play God of War on the go or Spider-Man on the go. That's cool, but, the Switch isn't necessarily going to be powerful enough to run those games super smoothly. There's just certain titles that I think, make sense on that platform. What is your hobby beside video games? Games! I know that sounds like the same answer over again, but no, really, like, just in general, I love gaming. Whether it's video games or more kind of traditional role-playing type stuff, tabletop games, board games, D&D, all that kind of stuff, I love those kind of things. This is gonna sound a little awkward and weird, but honestly, I just like reading rule books to things. Like, there are games that have come out that I still have not actually played, like board games and stuff, but I've read the rule books just because I'm really curious to see how the game is designed, what the logic is, and something I'm always kind of interested in is seeing how rules influence player behavior. So that's just stuff I really find fun. I mean, I do other stuff outside of that. I do a lot of media consumption, books, movies, music, that kind of stuff, fairly standard. But really, my main hobby is gaming. Not just video games, but just gaming in general. How broke are we expected to be from gaming this time next year? Oh, very. Well, maybe not. There's a couple reasons why it might not be as bad as we're fearing. Look, as far as Xbox Series X and PS5 go, yeah, they're probably going to be really expensive. The number that a lot of people are throwing around, hopefully, is $500. Some people are theorizing $600. Based on how much computer parts right now cost for a similar rig, people are thinking a lot more money. We don't know the prices yet, and it might hurt. The reason why it might not be as bad, and this is something that I've talked about a lot recently, is that at least for Xbox, I think there is a decent chance we're going to get a secondary, cheaper model right away, something along the lines of like the Xbox One S, where it's just going to be focused more on, hey, you can play these games, but it's not going to necessarily be 4K 60. Hopefully that comes out at the same time, so people that don't want to break the bank can buy a next-gen system and just jump in right away. But if that doesn't happen, yeah, we're going to be pretty broke. What feature would you add to the next Switch model that the current model is missing? There's a couple things we've talked about in the past that the Switch is missing that we'd like to see added in new ones. I think probably one of the simplest ones that comes up over and over again is Bluetooth headphone support. It's kind of crazy that a dedicated portable device that's released in this day and age doesn't support just built-in wireless headphones. Because as it stands right now, you have to buy some kind of adapter to plug into the USB-C or aux port. Oftentimes you run into issues where you're not going to have the best latency as a result, depending on the one you use and what headphones you're using. It's just kind of annoying. So I would love if a new Switch actually just supported that built-in right away. We got some officially licensed and supported wireless headsets that would work great with it. That would be wonderful, because especially when you're playing on the go and you don't necessarily want to actually have like the volume coming out of the Switch in a public place, or you want to hear it really well by wearing headphones, it would just be really appreciated to have that be just a stock feature. Is it worth it to buy a PS4 or Xbox One in 2020? Probably not, to be honest. I mean, it depends. If you're able to find like a really good sale, which is happening a lot right now because it's the holidays, and again, it's the last kind of big holiday season before the next-gen systems, if you get a really good deal and there's games you've been waiting to play, it makes sense. But I would not pay full MSRP right now for a new system, because at this point, especially with a little talk we've had about backwards compatibility, likely if you just wait till the PS5 or Xbox Series X, you're going to be able to play all the games you've been waiting on for the Xbox One. If you've gone this far into the cycle, you can probably stand to wait another year. That being said, again, if you can get a great deal, if you're dropping only a couple $100, or well, really even less than a couple hundred would be awesome. If you're going to do it, honestly, get like a PS4 Slim or an Xbox One S or even a One SL Digital. Don't spend a ton on the 4K systems right now, because that money could just go towards saving up to next-gen systems next year. So buy a cheaper regular one for now if you just want to be able to play the games, but I would hold out for next-gen at this point. What remakes, remasters, ports do you think we'll get in 2020? Also, can the Xbox Elite 2 controller be used on Switch, like through a dongle of sorts, 8-bit-do, etc.? For remakes, remasters in 2020, that's actually kind of tough, because, we're definitely going to get some for sure. One possibility that we haven't heard anything official about yet is maybe a new Pokemon game. Pokemon has been very on top of trying to do a game basically every year, but it's not always a mainline one, obviously. So with Sword and Shield coming out this year, it's possible that maybe we get another Let's Go type game that's based on Gold and Silver, or maybe they'll do a Gen 9 style game that's taking place in Gen 4 with Diamond and Pearl based games. So that's possible. Other remakes, obviously, Resident Evil 3 was announced, so we're getting that, and I'm super excited for that. Yeah, I'm not sure. We're gonna get more because it's just such a popular thing to do, but As far as like pleasant surprise ones that might happen, I don't know. As for using the Elite 2 controller with a Switch, I haven't actually done any specific tests for this yet, but there are a number of adapters out there that you can use to make Xbox controllers work for the Switch, and that should work for the Elite 2 as well. You might not have access to all the special features, but you can use those. There's one particular that I'll link down below that I've used that is this little kind of like top part that goes on the Xbox controller and lets you use it with other systems, including the Switch, the PlayStation, a bunch of other options out there. So there's ways for it to work. It's just not necessarily going to be the best version out there that could exist because it's not really an officially licensed thing. It's people finding roundabout ways to just make it work.